So I was fortunate enough to get my hands on some Final Fantasy cards through trade-ups and trade-ins and a small purchase. So I didn't get everything that I wanted because obviously I want one of each of everything, and but this is just from the main set. So I got my hands on a bunch of chocobos, not all of them, but I got Choco, Seeker of Paradise. And you remember I had my deck with the flying 1/1s that draws me a lot of cards and has a bunch of interaction, which was
Yeah.
white and blue. So I took that deck apart, put green in, so now it's my bird deck. It's a bird tribal with landfall synergies.
Oh, cool.
And it has a bunch of Final Fantasy cards in it because Chocobos are Final Fantasy. So I'm going to be playing that today for you.
Very nice. Cool. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go back to the Ureni deck. So that's Team Aurora.
Just to say, it's a bird deck, but all the chocobos are basically ostriches, right? So they don't fly. Uh, but all the other birds that I have in here that are not from Final Fantasy, they basically fly. So I do have small flyers and bird synergies in this deck.
Excellent.
Uh, and you're doing big flyers all the
That's
time.
great.
That's good. All right, so just for you to know, so Choco, Seeker of Paradise, is a 3/5 bird with a lot of text on it. But whenever one or more birds attack, I get to look at that many cards and put one into my hand. And from among those cards, I can put any amount of lands on the battlefield tapped. So it's a way for me to ramp into more lands. And also all the chocobos have a landfall ability that whenever a land enters under my control, Choco gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
Mm,
So birds that grow bigger based on the amount of lands that enter this turn.
mm,
He costs 4 to cast, and he's a 3/5. He does not fly, but he is a bird.
gotcha. All right, who starts?
You do.
All right, I'm gonna play Flooded Grove and pass to you.
Okay. Draw. I'll play the Seaside Citadel and pass.
Okay, I'll draw. I'll play Shivan Reef and tap my mana to play the Talisman of Creativity for 2. Pass to you.
Untap. Draw. Play a command tower. Tap for a thought vessel and pass the turn.
Okay, untap.
The thought vessel, I have no maximum hand size, by the
Oh,
way.
okay. That's from your commander, or?
No, the thought vessel is this artifact. It adds 1 mana, and I have no maximum hand size.
Oh, that's
So,
cool. All right. I'll draw for turn. Thanks for letting me know. I'll play Cindergate. It says it enters tapped unless I control 2 or more basic lands, so it's tapped. I'll tap Talisman of Creativity, so I can get Flooded Grove for blue and green, and then tap Shivan Reef for red, which deals 1 damage to me, so that I can cast Eshki, Teemer's Roar. Eshki, Teemer's Roar is a human warrior legendary creature 2/2, and it says whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Eshki. If that spell's power is 4 or greater, draw a card. If that spell's power is 6 or greater, Eshki deals damage equal to Eshki's power to each opponent.
mhm.
Pass the turn to you.
Untap. Draw. Um, I'll play Sky Cloud Expanse. Pay 1 into it and get white, blue out of it. I'm going to tap for 4. My 3 colors and 1 extra. And I'm going to play Choco, Seeker of Paradise. And that's it for me. You can go.
Okay. Untap. I'll draw for turn. Okay, I'm going to tap Cinderglade for red. And then 1, 2, 3 mana to cast Thundermane Dragon. Thundermane Dragon, a flying dragon creature. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. So you may cast a creature spell with power 4 or greater from the top of your library. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste until end of turn. Quick question here. You may cast a creature spell with power 4 or greater from the top of your library without paying for it?
But it doesn't say that, so no.
So I
You would
have to
have
pay
to
for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is a Thundermane Dragon. That is a creature spell, so I'm adding a +1/+1 to Eshki. And that spell's power is
Okay, you may cast creature spells with power. Since you can look at the top at any time,
Mhm.
so it's not just an enter play effect, right? So you can, if there's a creature on top, you can cast it from the top rather than your hand. But
Gotcha.
you do have to pay for it. Yeah.
Understood. But also, Eshki, if that spell's power, this one is 4 or greater, draw a card. So I get to draw a card for casting Thundermane Dragon now because of Eshki.
Yes.
And this is a +1/+1 here. Sorry, not 4.
Not yet, no. So
Yeah, so I get to look at this. Okay. And then I'll pass a turn to you.
untap, draw. Hmm. I'll play a forest, which will trigger the landfall on Choco 1 time. So he gains 1 power. So he's currently 4/5.
Okay.
And um I'm going to pay 4. And I'm going to play Saz Katsroy, where he's a legendary creature, 3/3. When he enters, I may search my library for a bird or a basic land and reveal it and put it into my hand. Whenever he attacks, I put a counter on a creature, and then I double the amount of counters on that creature when he attacks.
That's not
So I'm going to search my library for a bird, show that to you, and put it into my hand. I'm going to find Saz's Chocobo. He's a 0/1 bird. 0/1 bird. It costs 1 mana. A landfall, whenever a land enters under my control, I put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So that's what I found. I'm going to put that in my hand. And then I'm going to play that creature. So with the command tower, I'm going to get green, and then I'm going to play Saz's Chocobo. So again, he's a 0/1, but he gains a counter whenever a land enters under my control. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to move to combat. I'm
All
going
right.
to attack with Choco, who's a 4/5 currently. He is a bird, so he triggers his own ability. One bird is attacking, so I will look at 1 card from the top of my library, and I'm going to put that in my hand. So you're being attacked with a 4/5 Chocobo. He does not fly, he does not have anything else, but he's currently a 4 power, 5 toughness.
And there's a thing, right? If your attack succeeds, you get something and all
Nope,
that.
he already did everything that he wanted to do by just attacking. And I did not get any extra land off his ability, so he's not getting any extra power.
All right. I'll take the damage.
Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 commander damage.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end my turn there.
All right. I'm gonna untap, draw for turn. I also get to look at my top card anytime I want. Okay. And I'm going to play a forest for my land for this turn. I'm going to play a Taurian Mauler for 1 red.
Mhm.
Yeah. 1 red and 2 generic, so this one. I guess I'll use this one here. Okay. Torn Mauler Changeling. 2/2. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And then for Eshki, whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this card. So this is +2/+2 now. If that spell's power is 4 or greater, draw a card. It's not, so I don't draw a card. And then I'm gonna move to attack. I'm gonna attack you with Eshki and my dragon. So that's 4 and 4.
Okay, take 8.
I'll pass turn to you.
On top. Draw. Pay 2, 1 and 1 green. I'm gonna play this enchantment called Ride the Shoe Puff. It's an enchantment that says landfall. Whenever a land you control enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And I can pay 7 to make this enchantment become a 7/7 beast in addition to its other types. So I can pay 7 to create a 7/7. But the important part here is actually the landfall to put counters on stuff.
Gotcha.
I'm going to play this here island, this plains, which will trigger Sass's Chocobo to get a +1/+1 counter. It will trigger the Shoe Puff to put a +1/+1 counter on another creature. I'm going to put a +1/+1 counter on Choco. And Choco is also going to get his own landfall trigger once this turn. So he has a +1/+0 that lasts until end of turn. That all happened based off of 1 land. Now I'm going to do something that, yeah, hopefully will be cool. So I'll pay 4.
Quick question before you do a point of clarification. With my Taurian Mauler, it says whenever opponent casts.
You should have 1 +1/+1 counter because I've cast 1 spell this turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's whenever, and since it's a May, if you miss it, you miss it, right? So because it's not something that happens automatically. So yeah, but yes, every time I cast something, it grows.
Right. So that means when you're casting something now again, it should grow again, correct?
Yes, if I'm using it to cast. So I will cast a spell.
Okay,
I'm going to cast Scape Shift. Scape Shift says sacrifice any number of lands. Search your library for up to that many lands and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Does that resolve?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to sacrifice 5 lands. And I'm going to find 5 new ones, and I put them onto the battlefield tapped. So I'm finding these 5 lands. They enter tapped. Path of Ancestry, Prairie Stream, Tangled Islet, Corrosion Verge, and Sea of Clouds. These are 5 lands entering under my control, so my landfall triggers will trigger 5 times each. So I'm going to do Sass's Chocobo first. He's going to get 5 more +1/+1 counters. So he's at 6 now. Choco is going to get 5 more of his landfall triggers, so he's +6/+0 until end of turn. Where's the 6th? Here's the 6. And the Ride the Shoe Puff will put 5 more counters on a creature. I am going to put the 5 counters on Sass. So he's going to become an 8/8.
Looks like this is going to be over soon, isn't it?
I don't have trample, I don't have flying, so it's something. So this is something that I wanted to do, but this card someone lent it to me, so this is the Scape Shift card. Anyways, but this is something like that I wanted to try to see how it works. I don't have trample, I don't have flying, but you only have 1 blocker this turn, so I'm going to try to do a big swing right now. I don't know if you have any effects before I move to the combat step.
No, I do not.
Okay. I'm going to declare my 3 creatures as attackers. This will trigger Sass. He will put a +1/+1 counter on another creature, which is going to be his chocobo. So he's at 7. And then I'm going to double the counter. So he's going to be at 14. So he's now at 14, 15. The small little chocobo 0/1. And then Choco is going to trigger on attack. 2 birds are attacking. So I'm going to look at 2 cards. I'm going to put 1 into my hand and the other into my graveyard. I did not find any further lands. So now I am attacking you with a 14-15 right here, an 8-8, and a 10-5, a 10-6 right here. They are all able to be blocked. Choco is my commander, and these 2 are not. So, yeah.
Well, I think I want to block your 15 guy
Okay.
with my Taurian Mauler.
He doesn't tap to block, but okay, so you're blocking him. All right.
Yeah.
I have no other effects, so proceed to damage.
Yeah, Taurian Mauler dies.
Yeah, I'll hit you for 18. 10 of which is commander. Proceed to my end of turn. The temporary buff goes away, and it's your turn.
All right. No, I think it's going to be done soon. All right, I'm going to draw for turn. Damn, okay. That was a big swing.
It was, yeah.
Not sure if I have an answer for it, to be honest. But let's see if I can do anything to fix this. Okay, I'm going to play Frontier Siege. That costs me 4. So 1 and then 1, 2, 3. As this enchantment enters, choose cons or dragons. Cons: at the beginning of each of your main phases, add 2 forests. Dragons: whenever a creature you control with flying enters, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. I'm going to choose cons.
Okay.
So that's for the beginning of my main phase. I'll skip the combat phase. In the second main phase, I get 2 forests, 2 green, right? So I'm going to cast Elemental Bond for my 2 green plus this one here. Elemental Bond is an enchantment that says, whenever a creature you control with power 3 or greater enters, draw a card.
Yeah.
And then with that, I pass the turn to you.
Untap. Draw. Oh, wow. Okay. I'll play land. Trigger all my landfall. Put a counter on Choco this time.
So you can't. Oh yeah, no, my Taurian Mauler's out.
But I haven't cast anything. This is just because land entered under my control. Yeah, I'm going to pay 2 and activate the ability of the Crows and Verge. I sacrifice it and I go look for a plains and a forest card and put them into play tapped.
Excellent. Everything is going exactly the way I wanted it to.
Find this plains and this forest card. So that's 2 lands entering under my control, so my landfall triggers will happen twice more.
Damn.
The Choco gets 2 more counters, and the right to shoe puff will pump Choco. And I am ready to go to combat.
Mm.
Do you have anything before combat?
Nope, I do not.
Okay. I'll swing with the team and trigger Choco. I get to look at, sorry. I'll trigger Zas first. Yeah, let's put a counter on him. No, it says another creature. On target creature, no, so it can be him. So I'll put a counter on him and then I'll double the counters on him. So he's gonna be having 12 counters. 12. And Choco has his landfall, has triggered 3 times. I'll look at 2 cards. I'll put this card into my hand, and I'll put Essior War-Green Familiar into the graveyard. Did not find any lands. I don't think it matters that much, so I am attacking you for okay, so Choco is 7-10 again. Saz is 15-15, and Saz's Chocobo is 17-18.
Yeah. So I have no answer, and even blocking everything, you would still come through and essentially hit me, I think. Right? I could probably block. Let's see. You have which one again? You said Choco is 14?
So these two, so this is a 15, this one here. This is a 17-18.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a 10-9.
10-9. Okay. Why don't we try it? Let's play it out. I will block your larger creature with the Thundermane Dragon, and then the middle one with the Eshki, Timur's Roar. Oh, actually, wait, it doesn't work. No,
because then the commander hits you and I kill you with
yeah,
commander.
the commander hits me. So if I block any 2 creatures,
no, if you block these 2, then I would hit you for 15, and you would have 1 life left.
Well, let's try it. So I'll do that. I'll block those 2. I'm left with 1 life, and let's see if I can make it through. I could admit defeat, but I'm kind of trying to see. Yeah, okay. We'll see.
All right.
So Eshki dies, and Thundermane Dragon dies.
Mm-hmm. I'll pass the turn to you after that. I'm not going to do anything in my second minute.
Gotcha. All right. I am untapping and drawing for turn. And I have a total of 7 mana because of my enchantment here. So I will cast Ureni for 7. Yeah, but
okay.
The truth is
when he enters, your enchantments don't tap.
Oh, of course not. Well, when he enters, I get to.
So you have 2 different triggers right now. You can choose how to resolve them. You have the Elemental Bond, which when a creature with power 3 or more enters, you draw a card. And you have the Ureni trigger that you look at 8 cards and you can put a dragon from among them onto the battlefield. So which one do you want to resolve first?
I'll do Ureni first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. You may put a dragon creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put the Steel Hellkite onto the board. Steel Hellkite, an artifact creature dragon with flying, with an ability to add either a +1, +0 until end of turn, or destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X, whose controller was dealt combat damage by this creature this turn. Activate only once each turn, and it's a 5/5. And then the rest of these go on the bottom. And then I get to draw a card due to my Elemental Bond.
You actually get to draw 2 cards because you still haven't drawn the card from Ureni entering, and the Steel Hellkite also entered, so you get to draw 2 cards.
Okay, I'm gonna play Path of Ancestry for my land, and then since both of my guys have Summoning Sickness, I have to pass the turn to you.
It also enters tapped.
Yes, of course it does.
Right.
Apologies.
I'm going to untap, draw my card. I don't need to do anything else. I'm going to swing with the team. And do you want me to resolve my triggers, or since you only have 2 blockers, then
No, I gracefully accept absolute and total defeat. GG, my friend. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know if I really misplayed drastically somewhere. I think it was really more like I couldn't get lands.
Yeah, you were mana screwed. You got screwed over by, well, not, I don't know if you really got, you were doing well, and then 2 turns you didn't find a land. That's
Yeah.
essentially, but you got to 5 mana fairly quickly, which informed my decision to play, to find the Saz's Chocobo. And actually, because, okay, so my opening hand was 6 lands and the thought vessel. I didn't have any plays until I drew more cards. But that it's more or less guaranteed that on turn 3 I could get out my commander, and turn 4 I could attack. So everything else showed up, one at a time, and yeah. What really defined it for me was that scape shift. And scape shift, I mean, scape shift is a card that people use in combos. Obviously, this was it was not an infinite combo, but it essentially put me forward so much that you could not recover, because my creatures grew so much bigger than the dragons you were able to play.
Yeah.
When you played Eshki, I was like, okay, so I really need to hurry, or I'm gonna be dead. Just if once you get to 6 mana, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be taking at least 6 damage a turn. So I was fortunate that you didn't get to 6 mana, actually.
Yeah, and I was contemplating to not play Eshki, just to not have you jump forward. You know, like I kind of felt like, oh, this is going to be one of those things that's going to make someone jump, right? But then I was like, well, the truth is, if I don't get my ass going here, I'm going to be out anyway. You know what I mean? So
Well,
it was like the
Eshki
move
is
I had to
very,
make.
very good because, I mean, because she does give you card draw, right? As long as you play creatures with mana cost 4, with power 4 or greater, or cost 4 or greater, you get to draw a card, right? So it's not a bad decision to have her on the field. And she can, and for your big dragons, she also gets to hit back, and she grows. So she's, I mean, there's a reason why she was the one that could be used as the command. She's the one on the box art for that deck, right?
Right.
And there's a reason for it. So that's the deck that I didn't get to acquire from that set, because everybody wanted that deck, and there's a reason for it. So I think I just got lucky with my opening hand, and you were unlucky that you didn't get to draw the extra land that you needed to really pop off, because having the Thundermane Dragon together with Eshki and Ureni in play, I think it would have spelled bad news for me really, really quickly. And you were 1 mana off, essentially. So that was good for me. And well, and all the cards except Scape Shift that I played were from Final Fantasy, so you didn't even get to see the combination of my deck with the older deck. So
Yeah.
it's a very fun deck, I must say. It is open to interaction quite a bit. Also, the chocobos, they don't trample, they don't have vigilance, they don't fly, so anything can block them. Of course, I have ways in the deck to make them fly or to make them trample, but they didn't appear. But it didn't matter if I'm attacking you with 17 power. That little bird is just insane, right? 0/1 for 1 mana that just grows 1 per turn is insanely good. And together with the other guy who puts counters on it and doubles the counters, yeah, it's a fun deck, and I think it overperformed right now, because it doesn't usually, it hadn't done that for me in the other games that I played with it. So this was,
No, it sounds like an interesting thing. How I have about a half hour. Do you want to try for a rematch? Because this was pretty quick.
half an hour won't work. I don't think we've ever done really a half-hour game that was, not half an hour game, unless someone really does something insane. Doesn't really happen. And so
Okay.
I do have Karen here, so I do have to get cooking at some point soon, so that
Excellent.
lunch
Well,
is
let's
ready.
do it some other time then. But yeah, that was interesting to watch. And one thing I always see with Ureni, like it's the moment he actually gets out, it's pretty crazy because you just get all the dragons out. So, but that's really the tricky thing. If you get screwed on the mana, and I was contemplating keeping my first hand, like the mulligan, because my first hand was basically all lands except for two. So I had 5 lands in hand, and I was like, well, typically you don't really want to do that because it means if you don't get anything else, you're literally just playing lands, and it's not 7, right? Like that. Anyway, I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky thing. I think typically I wouldn't keep a hand like that, and that's why I didn't. But I'm wondering now whether that would have actually worked. Like to say, hey, let me keep this hand, which is I was 5 or 6 lands, and just put them out, hoping for others. Like I mean, I kind of knew what I drew now afterwards, which were lots of these enchantments and stuff. So possibly could have worked better.
Well, for me, a 5-lander is almost always a keep. It doesn't matter what I play. It's like, okay, so I have 5 lands in hand. I'm assured to make my play, my land drop for 5 turns. And then the consideration comes like, what are the other 2 cards?
Yeah.
I love having pretty much, if I have 1 card that I get to play with my lands, then it's awesome. So I always look for like 2 or 3 lands or 2 lands and something I can play with those 2 lands that finds me more lands. Right?
Yeah.
Is I don't want to get stuck on the mana. Quite honest, I mean, there's this thing like, is it better to get mana screwed or mana flooded? And quite
Mm.
honestly, I believe mana flooded is better than mana screwed. Because flooded means that you've drawn nothing but lands. So there will come a point where you've thinned out the lands from your deck so much that everything else is gas. So having too much mana is not usually a problem
Mm.
unless the other people on the table are playing faster than you. But
Yeah.
yeah, what were the other 2 cards? Were they
I don't recall
dragons?
now. Well, there was actually that's not true. I don't remember the exact names, but they were both pretty large creatures, kind of like Ureni. So it was the same deal. And I'm like, okay, so I have 2 more big creatures in hand, um, which I also can't play. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so even if I have 5 lands, I need 2 more to play Ureni, right? So I kind of judged, well,
Well,
I can't really do anything for 5 turns, really.
well, but then what are the odds of you drawing something that you can play, right, with those lands?
Well,
And
not very high
that,
because there's a lot of creatures in here, a lot of really big creatures with big mana cost, right? So it's kind of more of the
yeah,
same here.
but everything else it lets you draw cards or gets you more lands.
Hmm.
So yeah, so the color combination, blue, red, green, is yeah. I mean, it's a bomb deck, right? So it's you need big thing. You're going to be playing big things, but the idea here is to get to be able to play Ureni and replay Ureni, right? Because he's going to be put things into play without paying for them
Yeah.
by just entering the battlefield, right?
Yes.
So
So
my
that's the
idea
thing.
with that deck is like, also 5 lands is great because then also all your rocks, all your artifacts that give you mana, you will be able to play them. So if even just the Soul Ring had appeared, you would have been able to cast Ureni, right? So potentially 2 turns early than the 7 mana.
So
And
realistically, that would
I
have been.
I would have kept the hand with the 5 lands.
Okay.
I would, but that's me, right? Just because of how that deck on paper at least plays out, right? It has a curve. So all your utility is between 2 and 4 mana, right? The
Mm.
elemental bond, the siege, these things they're setting up so that you can do more things, right? You get more mana, and then you would have been able to play it even sooner. You need big mana for Eshki. You need big mana to cast the spells from the top of your deck. So having 5 mana guaranteed, that's 5 turns that at least you're going to be putting a land onto the field.
Mm. So
So,
that would
but
have been potentially the
that's
play to
for
go
me.
for.
I mean, the only thing better would have been if the 2 cards in your hand were things that costed 4 or less, right? That's
Yeah. No, that would have, that in that case, I would have kept the hand for sure. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like that. So, but that's a good point. Like, I think I'm still, you know how like there's a few things like you have a blind spot. Like I know, for example, I still don't look enough at whether something is an enchantment or an instant. Like I constantly make this mistake. I'll play instants on my turn unnecessarily so when I could play them on any turn for much bigger effect. So that's one of the mistakes I make. And the other one is certainly like looking at a you know something like this, like because typically if I want to keep a hand in the beginning, it's like, yeah, I want lots of lands in there, and I want ideally the different color combinations that my commander needs. But to just realize, actually, like you said, the mana swamp versus mana scarce. I forgot what the terms are used, but basically, rather too much mana than too
Ma-
little mana.
uh, the
Mana flood.
terminology magic is mana flood is when you have more mana than what you can do with it, right? Like you
Mm,
draw only lands, or your only plays are lands. That's flooded, right? It's a flood of mana. And then mana screw is when you don't have enough to even make a single play.
mm,
So yeah, I'd rather be in an overabundance than a scarcity.
that
That's my
makes sense.
personal view on it, right? So when you look at like higher tier play, people try to what they call curve out, right? So you have exactly enough mana to make the play of the turn, right?
Mm,
But big creature decks is usually get to the amount of mana where your average of the deck sits as soon as possible, right? So for example, my mono green deck that you played when you started learning,
yeah,
it needed to get to 5, right? So if you had either 5 lands or a way to get to 5 mana in your opening hand, it's a keeper, right?
yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's it. So you want to find the way in that deck. You want to get to 7 first, and then the next breakpoint is 9, and then the next one is 11. Why? Why is that? Because Ureni costs 7 the first time you cast him, but he does his effect when he enters and attacks, right? So he's gonna be removed. So you want to get to 7 to cast him the first time. You want to get to 9 to cast him the second time. You want to get to 11 to cast him the third time. And then by that time, if the game is not over, then something's wrong with the game, right? So either you've been demolished so much that you cannot make any further plays, or you're winning because people are always focusing on that one thing they're removing off yours. So yeah, that's on paper because you've not made any changes to the mana base. You've not added more things that give you mana. You have not put anything in there that finds you that anything. It's just out of the box. So you want to get to the big mana plays. If you're playing Eshki,
Hmm.
then it's different. You want to get to 4, and then to 6, then to 8, then to 10. But specifically, you want to get to 4 mana with your 3 colors, and then to 6 mana. And then the colors don't matter anymore. Because you want to play creatures that are either costed 4 to draw cards, or 6 to draw cards, get a counter, and hit for damage. Right? So
Mm,
it's a little bit different, like what you keep on based on paper, right? With Ureni, breakpoints 7, 9, 11. With Eshki, 4, 6, and 8. It's sort of like the mana breakpoints that you want to go for, so you can
mm.
make the plays.
That makes sense. Well, that's a good note. All right. Well, I think then so the most likely, based on our analysis here, the big misplay actually was mine. Most likely by simply not keeping the first hand, because most likely I would have drawn something else to go sooner. Plus, we definitely went for more than 5 turns, so I would have been, able to do something else in that most likely, rather than being mana poor. What is it called? Mana
Screwed.
screwed.
Yeah.
Okay.
The game ended turn 7, my turn 7 specifically,
Hmm.
right? Because you started the game, you were able to play your commander exactly on your turn 7 when you got to 7 mana. But that was because you played your Frontier Siege, which got you there, right? Because you didn't
Hmm.
draw any more lands, but that gave you the 2 extra mana you needed to play him on 7. So on turn 5 and 6, you didn't play a land. You played a
Yeah.
land on turn 7 because that's what you found with the Elemental Bond. I made my big play on turn 5, which is when I got to the mana and the board state to play that scape shift, which just took me let me take off and hit you for so much damage that turn. But that's but my deck is built in a different way, right? So it has more lands than it needs because I have cards, specifically my commander, that works off of lands. So I have more lands and more ways to find lands in order to make those big plays sooner. But the most expensive card in my deck costs 7. So if I ever get to 7 mana, I'm golden. But I play at 4. Right,
Yeah.
4 mana is the wheelhouse for this deck. But that's the way I mapped it out, right? I planned it out. So 4 is where I want to get to as soon as possible to make at least 1 play per turn, but most likely 2. And then my finishers and high synergy cards are at 5, 6, and 7. Like things that give my team globally, just by them being there, bonus, or ways to accelerate everybody else. But that's the way that I built it, right? And but even on paper, like just understanding, like that's why I like to lay out like how the cost, not what do they do, but like what do I have at 1 mana, what do I have at 2 mana, 3 mana, so that I can actually lay out on the table, like, yeah, so I want to get to this point as soon as possible. This is where the meat of my deck is. It's like, okay, so at 1,
you literally go when you go through your 99 and through your commander, you basically go, okay, this costs 1 mana, this costs 2 mana, this costs 3 mana. And you basically see where's the sweet spot, essentially.
Yeah, that's when I can. That's like my last phase. Like first, obviously, I have to build. Like my commander wants to do this, so let me get the effects that I want in there, right? So he wants to play with birds. He wants to play with lands. So I want cards that do this. But then once I have all the cards, then I lay them out in in little piles of how many do I have in each mana cost, right? Because that informs then that informs my strategy when I actually pull for a hand, right? So how many lands am I looking for? What else am I looking for, etc. But and then it's curving out like where do you want your place to be, and this informs your opening hand. For me, at least, right? So in most of my decks, I want 2 lands and 1 other thing, either something that finds me another land or something that gives me mana by existing, right? A rock, a soul ring, or whatever. So 2 lands plus 1 of those, and then I should be good for the first 2, 3 turns, right? Disregarding what I pull, and then yeah. So that, but that's deck building, right? Deck playing is slightly different, but yeah, I would, if you're just looking at your deck now, then just laying out where are the plays, right? So that way you can start thinking, yeah, okay, so if most of my plays are at 4 and 5, then how do I get to 4 or 5 mana based on my opening hand? It has 1 land and a soul ring, it's a bad keep, right? Unless that the land that you found is green and the soul ring gives you the 2, and then it lets you play cultivate, which lets you find 2 lands. Then all of a sudden you're good, right? So a forest or anything that gives green plus a soul ring and a cultivate in the opening hand is playable. So on turn 2, you will find the 2 lands, 1 on the table and 1 in your hand, which you can play as your land for turn, right? That would already be okay. But if you're keeping a mountain and a soul ring, there's nothing that you will be able to play with that in that deck that will be beneficial to you, except maybe Faithless Looting, which lets you draw cards.
You know, it really actually sucks because I actually had. It's not a board wipe per se. I forgot the name of the card. It's a it's a red card that would have cost me 9. That was on top, and I was. Yeah, Blasphemous Act. And I was like, that would have done what? That would have actually destroyed most creatures in this case, I think. But
Blasphemous Act deals 13 points of damage to each creature, and it costs 1 generic less for each creature in play.
Correct. So the problem was I was 1 creature or 1 mana short to cast it when it actually would have killed your guys. That was my problem.
But the Blasphemous Act counts all creatures on the field, so yours and mine.
Damn. Yes, I could. Yeah. So, all right, there's my second misplay. It's like, what else did I play wrong? And that was it. I didn't. I have. That's another thing. I definitely have a blind spot for it where I'm not considering when it says for every creature, I think my creatures, but it's actually your creatures too.
Yeah, then I mean, there's the technicality of the language used, right? So Blasphemous Act, it costs one generic less for each creature in play. And then many other things that you've seen is that for each creature you control, or on each creature you control,
Yeah.
or for each artifact that opponent controls, right? There's specificity in the language used, right?
Yeah.
That's why how it is written is so important. Similar to like last time we played is the details that were lost on you from the Luminous Broodmoth. The creature created a copy. It did never create a copy. It returned something with a counter on it.
Yeah.
So there is specificity in the language used,
Yeah.
and learning to like see the difference there, like between each and each you control is or in play or in your hand, in your graveyard, right? There's
Yeah. I get
specificity.
that. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I don't know if I doubt that it would have like won me the game, but it would have like extended things, and I might have been able to get back to the mana thing at that time. But yeah, okay.
I mean, there is quite often these Hail Marys where like, okay, I'm going to wrath the board. I'm going to destroy everything, including mine, just to buy me time to see if
Right.
I will be able to rebuild faster than my opponent. And that's actually sometimes a valid strategy. Like you saw like on turn 6 where I'm like, I'm not going to play anything in my second main phase. I had 4 plays in my hand that I could have done. I chose not to because it smelled like a board wipe, right? I
It
could
was
have
there.
destroyed
It was
I could
there.
have
I
destroyed
just
everything myself and then rebuild. And like, okay, so I hit you for a bunch, but you have stuff on the board. So why don't I destroy everything? And after I destroy everything, I make a play. So I've started rebuilding after I killed everything. I would have been okay, and it would have set you back even further. So I could guarantee that 1 point of damage for the next turn without issue, right? So sometimes you just, yeah, many times people will like say, I attack with everything. Okay, so no blocks. Okay, wrath the board. Now you won't even be able to counterattack. I have nothing left, but hey, that's fine. You had 1 life. So it's sometimes it's like yeah, you're telegraphing the board wipe because yeah, it doesn't matter if my things die anyways, if I'm going to destroy everything just so you can set back further. But yeah, it's things that happen. I don't think you actually misplayed anything. I just think I just had way better luck
Hmm.
in my RNG than you did because you were not technically behind. You were behind when you failed your land drop on turn 5,
Hmm.
but on turn you played that Frontier Siege, and you got back on track. But I was just very efficient with everything that I drew. I just found the right pieces because that's what I drew in my hand. So I don't think you
Yeah.
misplayed. Shit happens, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It's
I
a
mean,
hundred
it's
cards.
certainly good to. I mean, I kind of keep making the mistakes, so I actually get out of it. But it was a good game. Thank you so much, also for the afterwards play-by-play. I think that's definitely always very interesting for me. And so, call it a good game.